Welcome. Let us discuss humanistic approach and its constituents today. The humanistic approaches have the following constituents: Suggestopaedia, the silent way, total physical response, community language learning, and the natural approach. First of all, let us see what is Suggestopaedia. It was a concept developed by Georgi Lozanov. It uses the power of suggestion to help students eliminate the feeling that they cannot succeed. This method ensures quicker learning than the conventional methods of learning. It makes effective use of music, games, and dramatized text so that learning becomes interesting. For example, students can assume different roles. They can assume various identities and can respond to questions freely. For example, if you're going to teach children about the importance of preserving nature, you can ask them to imagine themselves to be in a forest. And you can ask them to assume the role of different plants, trees, or even animals. And when they are asked different questions, they can freely answer from the perspective of a plant or an animal. Of course, this can be made more interesting by incorporating games, songs, and so on. So this is what you mean by Suggestopaedia. Let us see the second constituent of humanistic approach. It is the silent way. It was designed by someone called Gattegno. They observe learning as an exploratory process. The learner is able to solve problems and they become more creative, and on the whole, learning is a self-discovering activity. Here, the teacher has rather a passive role and the learner is encouraged to speak as much as possible. The target of the silent way is to make the learners independent, autonomous, and responsible for themselves. They make use of questionnaire roads to teach numbers, colors, nouns, adjectives, and so on. We move on to the next topic, that is total physical response, which is shortly known as TPR. It was developed by James Asher, a professor of psychology. It's a language teaching method built around the coordination of speech and action. The general objectives of TPR are to teach oral proficiency at the beginning level. Comprehension is a means to an end, and the ultimate aim is to teach basic teaching skills. A TPR course aims to produce learners who are capable of an uninhibited communication that is intelligible to a native speaker. Imperative drills are the major classroom activity in TPR. They are typically used to elicit physical actions and activity on the part of the learners. Conversational dialogues are delayed until after about 120 hours of instruction. Other class activities include role plays and slide presentations. Learners in TPR have the primary roles of listener and performer. They listen attentively and respond physically to the commands given by the teacher. Let's take the example of the rhyme head, shoulders, knees and toes. When the teacher sings this rhyme, the children are expected to respond by doing the action concerned. So this is what you mean by total physical response, or TPR. The next constituent of humanistic approach is community language learning, or CLL. This is an excellent method to train learners in speaking and listening a target language. Here the teacher serves as a counselor and the student as a client. Students are expected to work in small groups. and they would be given a topic. They can discuss on the topic, and this method would help them in developing conversational skills and in doing translation as well. Let us now see what is the natural approach. The natural approach, also known as the natural way, refers to the theory of second language learning. Stephen Krashen is a chief exponent of this approach. The goal is the ability to communicate with native speakers of the target language. Comprehension happens first and then the production of speech. So we call this the silent period. And later on, production of language emerges automatically. So acquisition activities are central to this approach. The speech emerges in stages, and group work of course encourages speech. Speech emergence is characterized by grammatical errors. So, in a nutshell, we can say that the natural approach is meant to develop fluency among the learners to communicate in a target language.